the grim dark of the 21st century, there is only woke. It is known that all custodians begin their lives as the infant sons of the noble houses of Terra. It is a mark of incredible prestige to surrender one's child to this most glorious of callings within the Imperium, and many notable clans amongst the Terran aristocracy have willingly given up almost entire generations of newborn sons to earn it. Hello, and welcome to another Gameplay Casts video. Today I can only describe my mood as dark. Grim dark. If you hadn't guessed from the opening lore segment or the title of the video, this relates to the details regarding the female custodians, leaked from the new 10th edition codex. What does it matter? Well, why does any story, universe, or canon matter? Probably because that's what your audience likes, and significantly changing it risks upsetting that audience. Upset them enough, and they may walk away, which will hurt your company's profit margin. Something companies in the 21st century seem to have forgotten. For me personally, I'll be honest, I absolutely hate this. The custodians work with the Sisters of Silence, so if they wanted to increase female interest in the custodians, they could have, and probably should have, invested time into making some better characters and models for those parts of the army, instead of a lazy short story shoehorned into the codex that directly contradicts all of the pre-existing novels and lore. It matters to me, as I'm a stickler for the law, and for the rules of the universe. A Puritan, if you will. Yes, GW have done many colourful retcons over the years, most of which were brought in to address problems, or as part of long-term changes and updates to the game. Obviously, many were not necessarily popular at the time, but generally became accepted. Things like the Primaris Marines and the Primarchs, both of which I love, as the details are so much better on the new models, and the Primarch lore is something I really enjoy reading about. That said, I can definitely sympathise with those people who had full armies of Marines that are now basically obsolete. Coincidentally, I was actually down at Warhammer World this weekend, and probably due to a mixture of FOMO and Henry Cavill, decided to take the plunge and order the new Custodian Codex, some dice, and put my name against one of my local store's copies of the Custodian Battle Force Auric Champions box set. All was well, until I read the leak this morning. Warning. The following leak has been rated BS&H for bullshit and heresy produced by Games Workshop. Viewer caution is advised. Right, now that I've got that trigger warning out of the way, I'll show you the evidence on the screen, as I refuse to read this heresy out loud. So what are the facts? Well, in short, copies of the Codex have been given to certain influencers to gain some publicity for the coming launch. During a video review, one of the short stories from the box was visible. You can see a screenshot of the start of that story on screen now. It clearly states Custodian Callidius, and then goes on to use she later in the paragraph. The rest of the content of the story is also in relation to Blood Games. Custodians regularly play these to test and probe the defences of the Imperial Palace. And whilst I'm no expert on the lore of the Custodians, I am reliably informed that only the Custodians take part in this. So this all supports a female Custodian. The next piece of evidence on screen is that when questioned about it on Twitter, GW gave the following response. So according to them, the passage I read at the start from, I believe, the novel The Master of Mankind was wrong. Or GW are lying and will not own up to the mistake or the retcon. You liar! Could this be some kind of weird prank or publicity stunt? Could it be a mistranslation, as some on the internet have argued? Maybe, but it seems fairly confirmed that this is in the book, and GW have confirmed this themselves on Twitter. So why would they want to annoy customers just before a launch? I suppose we won't know 100% until the copies go on general release, but I think there's a very high probability all this is true. And also that GW think lying to their customers is an okay thing to do. It's not exactly taking the moral high ground. And when has lying to your customers ever worked long term for a company? I don't know.
Heresy grows from idleness.
It's also just a really shit retcon. They could have actually bothered to put in some reasons why there are some female custodians. I mean, I still don't think I would have liked it any more than I would have liked a Brother of Silence. But if you create a logical reason for their creation or a need, then there would be a lot less controversy. And if it was done really well, most people might actually like the change. You know, one of the great things about sci-fi is you can pretty much do anything you want as long as it's true to the universe and the setting you've created. This just feels like an FU to fans who enjoy the lore. It's not even a retcon, it's an erasure.
Hello. It's for you.
Yeah? You've just been erased.
An erasure of lore and history dating back to the 80s. If you're going to make fundamental erasures, then you should be honest with the existing fanbase, and you should put the effort in to at least try and make it fit the pre-existing lore. I mean, I'm no professional writer, but I could spitball half a dozen reasons why some female custodians might be created. How about some kind of demon that's super effective against men? A secret sect of the custodians who guard the dark cells of women due to a slight difference in biology or brain chemistry, making them less susceptible to some kind of warp or psychic effect. I don't know, but any of this would be a better base than this lazy mess. All this for all means I'm really torn. The custodians are some cool looking miniatures for sure, and truth be told, I'm not too bothered about them being nerfed in 10th, as modelling and painting is my primary passion, with play being secondary. My main point of contention is that I don't think companies like this do things on a whim. It's all part of some strategy. Why do this to the custodies? Well, because lore-wise you could make a case that technically they could make female versions. Why add it in this manner? Well, it's testing the water. A silly short story will have cost very little to add to the codex last minute. They don't need to make any models at this point, they're just seeing how much backlash, if any, comes out as a result. Not much? Well, that's green light to start on some more extensive retcons. Think of the frog in the boiling water. Throw it in when the water's hot, and it will jump straight out. Put it in when the water's cold, then slowly increase the temperature, and he'll stay there and die. Or is that DEI? Whatever GW's reason is for the change, I think they are flirting with a very slippery and dangerous path. This is further evidenced by their second and third biggest shareholders being BlackRock and Vanguard. These are incredibly insidious activist investors who manipulate companies they buy into, and it's never for the benefit of the core customers. Just look at Disney. So what do you think about all this? Much to do about nothing? Or is it the start of the slippery slope to Warhammer 40k? If I can please ask you to leave a comment saying why I should or should not keep my pre-order for the Custodian Codex and Battleforce box, it would be appreciated. I'm also keen to hear people's thoughts on the box in general too. Far be it from me to tell you what to do or think, but I would like to say to Games Workshop, don't go down this road. It will not end well. And if you aren't happy with this god-awful retcon, then you best make sure GW knows about it. Send them an email, Facebook or tweet them, speak to your local store manager, and make your voice heard. If you don't, the hobby you know and love might just be the next Star Wars or Star Trek. I really don't want to see a world filled with videos on the death of Warhammer. You might even want to reconsider giving them your hard-earned dollars, especially if this is the treatment we can come to expect. I'll leave a link to the Twitter thread in the description. And that is all you get. As always, f*** Erebus. Oh, and while I'm at it, f*** Warhammer.
We're going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. What we are doing internally is, if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay? You have to force behaviors, and if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
You're going to be impacted.